for a few laps here, so just get the car mobile, get it back out there so you don't lose laps. See, that inner fender is completely down on the tire, though.
You can hear the crew members saying, get him out, get him back in again. They don't want to get behind the pace car.
The officials are maybe seeing something they don't want the car to be released with. Now they go. Oh, they missed it. They missed it. Critical delay right there. See the field just streaming by this front straightaway in the background.
That hurt because now, even with a caution, you're starting down a lap. Very tough to make that up. And in their haste to get him out, apparently missed something. So now the crew's just going to go back to work. Try and get that body work and fender liner freed up. So this is going to be a little bit of a longish caution. We would suspect we're going to take advantage of it. We're going to step away for just a moment from Lime Rock Park. We'll be right back. So stay with us. You can see the resignation there as we come back with you on the web of the crew. Guy that was working on that right front corner finally just sat back on his heels and realized something's a little bit deeper inside there that is going to be a problem, and looks like their day may be done. Yep, Stephen McAleer climbing out. And that's unfortunate for everybody here watching, and certainly for us, not just for the issues for the team, but watching Stephen McAleer work through the field could have been a pretty good show.
Yeah, this could have been a great show for this team. So disappointment right there. One of our fancied teams. But getting back to our pole sitter, did a great job so far this weekend, but there's a lot more experience stacked up against him. He's running solo, so there's not been a switch. He started both races, and it was the AMs who qualified and started race one as the pros who finished race one and start race two. So right behind him, he's got a ton of experience, going to be hot on his heels.
Yeah, and I talked to him just before the race, happened to run into him, and he said, man, these 60-minute races, he said, I'm exhausted. He said, I really had to just calm down and relax for a little bit and get ready for this one. He said, I'm pumped, but he said, I was feeling it after that one. So that's something that's all part of the program when you're running it solo. Unfortunately, it's
Marco
not
Solo.
Marco Solo. Now, that's good. Fortunately, it isn't anywhere near Saturday hot here, hot and humid, so that's going to help a little bit.
Yeah, very different conditions, a lot of cloud cover. Track should be in great shape, should be really quick. No tire changes during the mandatory pit stop for GTS in SprintX format.
It's going to be interesting to find out from the ST Racing team, obviously, where they were able to borrow a car from Classic BMW, but even though it's the same brand, same model, it doesn't mean it's set up the same. It doesn't mean it's prepped quite the same. These drivers are going to have to really be careful, I think, in the early going, really just to see what they've got.
Yeah, just feeling out the racetrack, and particularly for that 36 entry, it's a totally different race car to the one they have been running all weekend long.
Here's the rest of the field. There's the number 2 of Jason Bell. You'll notice the different colors on it. If you've been watching us earlier in the season, he started the season with M1 GT, and they're silver and red, and now he's got a black and yellow scheme on the car, and it's also being run out of the Global Motorsports Group tent here this weekend, which has that team fairly busy with 3 Audis in GTS now.
Yes, yeah, very much so, but Jason just trying to find the rhythm of the season and making a mid-season switch to a different team. And hopefully after this one they'll have a chance to get a bit of testing under their belt and regroup a bit more. Quick change from the previous race only 8 days ago.
Now you see the lone McLaren in the field, the 570S in the hands of Paul Holton. At this stage, he'll turn it over to Ray Mason, and it's run out of Compass Racing. It's an absolutely great program, and also you see Rubric on the car, as well as always Race Day Foundation, very special charity near and dear to their hearts.
expect to see the pros stay in the car to extend this first stint out to the end of that pit stop window. So with your fast guy in, or fast girl in, whichever the case may be, let them have the most seat time and build the biggest cushion that they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, they're actually sending him through just on this caution, the climbing S, not the traditional layout, so that they can let all those EVs have some clear space and not worry about traffic bearing down on them. And speaking of traffic bearing down on you, El Gahanian, looking at that scoring monitor, and you see behind him Eversley, Braun, James, Stavely, Marcelli, Safronis, Buford. He's got his work cut out.
Yeah, he does. I'm sure he's totally aware of that, but I think the aggression upon him will be a little bit more intense than he experienced in race 1.
Welcome back, everybody. We continue under caution, and we show you, first of all, nice to have the fan point out our Optima Batteries Best Start Award winner, the number 78, Paul Holton, up 9 spots in that Compass Racing McLaren, and that's why he caught the eye of the camera just a little bit earlier as well. Just a remarkable run in those opening laps. We've seen that kind of start from him before, no question. And as you take a little bit farther back, there he is. Another good look at it here. He's working his way around, but at the top of the show, Pilar was talking about what had unfolded with the ST Racing number 36 car and Aurora Strauss, who was involved in a pretty big incident in that first race. And Cal, you talked about it, only 3.5 hours to get things turned around. Well, the damage to the car was too severe, and they found, with the help of Classic BMW, the car just going out of your frame right there, the number 36 Classic BMW said, yes, we've got a vehicle, we'll turn it over to you. And the question is, well, what kind of car do they have? We'll be finding that as the race unfolds. But when you ask about what kind of driver was behind the wheel, she's a special one. Here's more.
So I started playing piano when I was 5. I was trained classically for a couple of years. I refer to racing actually as my second love and music as my first, but the moment I went over 100 miles an hour, that was it for me. One of my biggest issues in the car is I wasn't looking far enough ahead, and I was so focused on shifting as quickly as possible that I was constantly staring down at all of the stuff in front of me. It literally came down to like, okay, I'm going to hum C# in my helmet. And the second that the engine of the car hits C# in 3rd gear, I'm going to shift from 3rd to 4th. It is an instrument to me. You need to tune it really specifically. You have to be gentle with it. You need to understand the feedback that it's giving you. You need to listen to it in the same way that you need to listen to your instrument and respond to it effectively.
That's phenomenal, like the vibrating string of a piano chord or a guitar. The harmonic of the engine, she can pick that out when you have perfect pitch like that, because you can make stuff happen like that. That's impressive.
She's a very cool young lady. Call her a gem because she's now associated with Tiffany's.
Very, very nice. And also, I think she was accepted to start at Harvard this year and decided to defer and asked them for a deferment, and they said sure, so she could just work on her racing this year. So it's a pretty bright young lady behind the wheel of that number 36, and she's doing a nice job when you consider that with a car she's not very familiar with, she was able to get in front of no less a talent than her teammate in the other car, Nick Whitmer, at the start of this race, who also was coming up from the back, but he hasn't been able to get around her yet. That speaks volumes.
Yep, and you get thrown these challenges throughout the course of your driving career, and to switch to a different car and say we're going green here within 2 kind of formation laps of getting to know this new machine, that is a huge challenge, and she's up for it, and I think this reset will be good. car will feel a little bit different just in the creature comforts inside the cockpit. Certainly how it drives will be different, but this has given her a chance with this early caution to just reset, regroup, and just try and get dialed into this new race car.
And, of course, we've talked about what unfolded here a little bit earlier today. Normally it's the previous day when we show you race 1 highlights of the doubleheader weekend. Here it was just 3.5 hours ago, but let's go back and take a look at what unfolded in round 5 of the GTS SprintX Championship. The drivers obviously all psyching up, getting last bits of advice from legends in the sport. And at the start, there he is, Nikolai Elgahanian, first ever race in the pole. But right behind him going to turn 1, big mess.
Yeah, there really was. You can see the number 1 car, Andy Pilgrim, gets turned around by the 54 machine of Mark Pave, and chaos ensues there. A lot of damage to the race cars.
Then a side balance comes off of the number 1 Camaro. They said it did upset the car just a little bit. You can see where it's missing right underneath the door. What wasn't missing was some great racing and some beautiful driving, particularly from Maurice Krantz.
Yeah, he had the lead, and Elgahanian put the pressure on, and eventually you see further battling in the pack here. Matt Fastnacht making a move on Gottsacker.
And then this incredible run, corner after corner after corner, 5 full corners before Ian James made the pass stick on Shane Lewis, and it was 2 drivers that were absolutely in lockstep. And then this team, rookie team 2, perfect stop.
Absolutely, just beyond the 62-second delta. They got it right, but late in the going, major drama here.
Yeah, then in the car was Justin Shimshak, and he was able to see an opening. Wasn't really there. Both of the cars off. That was Aurora, what happened to her car. And unfortunately for Shimshak and Matt Fastnacht, that car unrepairable, had to miss this round of the championship. And at the end, they couldn't get it cleaned up quite in time, so it finished under a full course caution. And winning the Pro-Am category was the number 55 PF Racing Mustang, with Jade Buford bringing it home. Patrick Gallagher started the car.
Yeah, really a tribute to Scott Maxwell, Buford's regular driver who lost his father in this past week.
And the emotion was also evident here, as there's young Mr. Elgahanian, obviously pretty moved by what this team did for him and what he was able to do in that car in his first ever Pirelli World Championship race. Just a great story.
Yeah, has been some great stories this weekend, and they're still evolving here with 45 minutes left to go here as the cleanup continues.
Obviously, part of the issue is there's a fair amount of fluid down on the track, so they're working on getting that cleaned up. So we're going to take this opportunity to step away once again. We will be back with you as soon as possible. Well, the pace of the BMW M4 CS has picked up. We're anticipating going green, lights out. Just want to remind you that you can follow all the news of the Pirelli World Challenge by downloading the new Fan app. Go to the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and search for the new PWC Fan app and start getting in deep. And you can also follow along on many other social media platforms. On Facebook, just search for the PWC Championship. On Twitter, just search for @WC Racing. And on Instagram, 2 opportunities, hashtag Pirelli WC or hashtag Pirelli World Challenge. And for all things Pirelli World Challenge, always go online to the series website, world-challenge.com. We are getting ready to go, and Nicholas Elgahanian, once again, is going to have to hold off a fleet of very, very talented drivers behind him. He's proving to be very talented himself. But down the hill we go, Cal.
Looking at the clock, the pit stop window has been moved to 30 to 40 minutes into this race. It'll be 5 minutes or 3.5 minutes before we see that open. Get ready for green.
Here we go, and it flies. And Nikolai Elgahanian moving over to protect. And he's done that a couple of times, and he ends up floating it a little bit wide, popping to the outside. And now Preston Calvert, something going wrong on the downhill, coming to green, and you can see the damage to the car. And he is sitting over there.
Sometimes there's just that concertina effect with everyone stacking up for the restart. Middle of the pack there. Ian James's teammate trying to make some moves. They're up in the top 5. Colin Brown under attack.
Yeah, Jason Hart doing a superb job in the number 47. That's one of the Porsches. As we see Frank Gannett in the number 24 Ian Lacey Racing entry. In the number 54, that's Mark Pavenoff in the Sin R1. And there is, well, I'll tell you, Preston did get into things, but somehow got it going. He may have just preserved green flag racing, Cal.
Yeah, it's going to be critical here as they now come through to that downhill section. Is there any debris on that race circuit through that corner? Oh, Eversley there, look to the inside on Nikolai.
Nikolai was able to deal with it, and oh, look at this now. Jason Hart to the outside of Colin Brown. 3 abreast now, down into 1.
Colin there really pushed the brakes really deep into the corner, tries to get to the flank of Ryan Eversley. The 2 Audis going hard at it. Ian James trying to take advantage of the situation in the painthouse. Can he move that car up to 4th?
Yeah,
made a similar move on Gar Robinson in the opening round here. Nice job, Ian James. Oh, Nikolai really wide coming off.
Boy, Ian, that's twice. Well, he knows it works. He's going to give it a go a few times here. And Stavely now under attack as well. They work up the hill.
It is go time right now, about 2 minutes before that pit stop window opens, but I think all of the pros will try and stay in the car for as long as they can.
That car right behind Stavely is the Pfaff Porsche that is running right now. Kyle Marcelli, of course, a very talented driver, teams with Ori Fidani. He's having a good run. And look at Eversley. Wherever Elgahanian's going, Eversley's trying to draft by now. Going to try the deep move around the outside. Elgahanian door to door with one of the best. See what happens here.
Oh,
and Elgahanian eases ahead.
He does. Didn't give him a car width there. Ryan recognized it, had to get out of the throttle a little bit and tuck back in. Otherwise, there was going to be contact. So good heads-up driving there by Ryan Eversley. Recognize he's not raced against this man before, really, so he's just trying to feel him out.
Working their way through No Name Straight into the climbing turn. Eversley right there. Brown just a couple of car lengths adrift. Then Ian James.
Nikolai always seems to run a slightly wider line through there. Really doesn't get up on towards the curb and apex, but still gets it done. Doesn't really lose any speed by running that line. Brown now under attack from Ian James.
Nikolai understands the concept of protecting and not blocking. Makes that move first, but watch now, the over-under maybe, Cal?
Possibly, he's got to try and time it, but Nikolai doesn't open up the door. I'll tell you what, this young man is showing good racecraft here. Our early days of watching him, Greg, but very impressed so far.
Well, he learns. You know, the first time he went way down the inside, he went way wide, lost a spot. Second time, he still went a little wide, and that time, no, he shut the door. It was beautiful.
We said at this racetrack, you have to work someone over. Sometimes it will take you 2 or 3 laps, 2 or 3, 4, 5 corners, as we saw earlier today, to get a move done.
Oh, love that sound. You can hear the tires working.
They're crying up over that hill,
sure
searching
are.
for grip. And they're going to be digging deep, trying to wring every ounce of speed out of these cars. Pit stop should open at any time right now as we hit the 30-minute mark. People could dive in if they wanted to.
So pit lane has opened. None of that group up front making the move as you would expect. You talked about it, keeping the pros in, the fast guys in. Let's take a look at what happened to Preston Calvert here. Wow.
That's almost before he turned in. I just have to wonder if it just got stacked up and he got out on wet grass, Greg.
Yep. Had to juke to the left to avoid somebody. Possibly, yep. I'll tell you, Algahanian right now. And that car light, we've talked about it. It takes that car a little longer to get the tires back up to temp.
Fastest lap of the day so far. Doesn't give you much normally in race one. Well, it is in race one. It'll give you a pole position. Right now it's just bragging rights. Pole position gives you bonus points. Fastest laps do not. He's looking for the clean sweep.
But it does show you that now that car seems to be back up to speed. And here we go. Hart, first taker.
Looks like Buford is coming in too. Look at the time on the board. They've now got just under 9 minutes to get that pit stop done. So basically they just moved the whole 10-minute window by 5 minutes to account for the yellow flag that we were under for so long.
You got to believe possibly that Buford's thought on that was, let's get in. By the time we get done with the stop, maybe we can get Patrick Gallagher out and he'll have a lot more clear track.
Yeah, that's the question, is how you come out. You just don't want to be buried in traffic after you've made that stop. If you find some clean air, that can really change your race.
And with Hart making that big move in, there's a pretty good gap now from James in fourth back to the number 12 of Stavely, who's up into fifth, running second in the AM category to our overall leader, Algahanian. Then in sixth, it is the 13 Pfaff Porsche as Stavely makes the move into the pits. He's doing it solo as well.
Yeah, and at these sort of speeds around this racetrack, the 62-second minimum pit lane delta time you have to spend on pit lane, including the stop, means you're going to go down a lap and a half, essentially. Look at Eversley just trying to find a way through.
Well, and obviously, if he can get through and run a little bit quicker, if he's leading at the time both make the stops, and he's pretty confident that Flying Lizard team can get that stop done well. That could put him out in front once again. But, boy, I'll tell you, that Marco Polo team, they nailed the stop in that first race.
They really did. Just a few tenths over the minimum 62-second delta. Ryan Eversley ran here earlier this weekend in TCR competition. He's the leader in that championship class. Took a victory in round one. Very strong weekend for him.
Still Colin Brown sitting in third. James in fourth in the Panos. Here's the number 45, Mike Hedlund. Oh, and a problem, Cal.
Yeah, there's a little bit of damage there to the rim. It looks like he's had a little bit of a brush with someone. So they'd probably be allowed to change this, I would think, under the regulations. In terms of any damage to the tire, they could say essentially there could be damage. I'm surprised they didn't just throw a new tire at it. It's the right rear, which isn't really the loaded tire. You could put a fresh one on there. It shouldn't hurt the performance even on your out laps, because you're really just loading the left side tires around this race circuit other than one corner.
I wonder if he just surprised them and ducked into the pits with that, and they didn't have it ready and said, well, at least we can clear the stuff that might cut it off of the wheel itself.
Probably just noticed it as the car was stationary and weren't set up to do it and lose any time.
And again, Eversley doing everything he can to figure out a way by, getting him to get to the inside, looking for that over-under, and again, Algahanian doesn't leave enough room to make it clean.
Kind of overslowed the car there a little bit. I think he recognized that the car was going to slide on him, so he just kept on the brake pedal a little bit longer. That allowed Ryan to close, but he still opened up the door a little bit, just cracked it open, but not all the way.
And you can always try, as the pursuing driver, to stick your foot in the door, but that tends to get the attention.
There. Oh,
yeah.
Algahanian really wide. They're even wider than his normal line. Colin Brown, similar deal there. It's like an oval, though. There's different lines through that corner, essentially a bull ring racetrack.
Well, is he driving one that he thinks with all of the moisture from that crash and all the oil dried down there that the line might be able to clear? He heads to the pits.
Dives for pit lane. His team this morning just said we want a clear pit lane. We don't want to be stymied in any way. And boy, oh boy, did they execute it to perfection earlier in the day. I think it was a 62.4 or 62.6 second stop.
Yeah, it was just a tick off being absolutely perfect, and that's impressive. And you want to err on at least giving yourself enough time.
Hammer time, though, for Ryan Eversley.
Yes. He's
got to do that overcut here and lay down some fast laps. They'll probably keep him out there right until the point he hits traffic, and then dive in and put his teammate Adam Mers on in. So these are critical laps here for Ryan Eversley. His fastest lap of the day so far is the 54.7. Excuse me, 54.3. Eversley does have the fastest lap of the race now.
That's exactly what he wanted. Free range to maybe try and build enough up. But if they can nail this stop.
He is pushing hard. You can see dropping wheels everywhere. 54.9 on that lap. Brown a 55.0 behind him. James similar times. Marcelli similar times.
El-Gahanian a stop at 63.4, so a little slower than the stop of the first race. Still not bad.
Not going to hurt them. The key is going to be his outlaps. Is he in traffic? Eversley's had clear laps. But then it's going to be the task of Adam Merzon to try and hang on to the lead if Eversley turns it over to him with that lead.
Yeah, and if there's a team in this paddock that you're pretty confident in executing a great stop, it's the Flying Lizard Boys.
They have so much experience here, won so many races over the years. I think they're close to 10 victories here at this racetrack. Very rare that they don't win a race.
Exactly.
when they're competing here. James is in. No, excuse me, Colin Brown is in. James stays out.
So he will be turning over, Colin Brown will, to George Kurtz, the defending GTSA champion, I should say.
Okay, this is the critical time here. He cannot afford to lose any ground here. See if he can clear this PF Racing Mustang quickly.
And that should be James has again that car right now.
Gets inside him.
Nice.
Probably can do 2.5 more laps. Will he stretch it? Again, he's got great pace, so probably going to roll the dice here a little bit, I would think, and stretch it out.
Is this a problem?
No, I don't think you lose basically a lap and a bit, Greg, by staying with a pit stop here. So they should be releasing him any time now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Again, when you do the stops, even though even the teams that aren't doing a driver change.
64.4.
So not bad.
Yeah, it's weird when you see cars going by. You lose a lap and a half, so they're going to come by past the pit lane, and you're still waiting to be released.
So now Kurtz try and get up to it. No tire change, so at least you get the benefit of still fairly warm tires.
How far will they push it for Flying Lizard and keeping Ryan Eversley out on the racetrack? Just trying to build up margin as much as they can. They can go one more if they chose to. Will they play it safe? No, he ducks in. Now Jim Bell, the engineer there, and the team just have to execute this pit stop and get Adam Merzon out there quickly. But not too quick.
Yeah, exactly. And we will be watching that time for you. Cal Marcelli handed over to Fidani with a good stop, 64 seconds even. They were up near the front.
Stop for the number 3 squad. Amos and Mueller, 62.6, 62.4 for Headland. So Flying Lizard had done one good stop. Can they get another one done?
That's some good motivation. You know, one crewman over the wall that helps solely with the driver change, can't do anything else. The other crewmen are basically just checking tire pressures, making an adjustment if they want to.
Driver change was enough time, but I don't think it was going exactly to plan.
Oh, problem. Well, looks like they may have gotten away with that, even though it's...
I'm not sure the safety net went up, but see what happens here.
Yeah.
65.4, yeah, so not a great stop. A little bit of a fumble there on the driver change was going on.
And there is your leader at 71.
Yep.
Boy, I'll tell you, they have just been impressive, that team. You have to wait and look at the margin.
Yep.
It's good enough.
But a good, clean pit stop, it would have been a lot tighter.
Absolutely.
Maybe would have kept the lead, maybe not, but either way, it would have been a lot tighter than it is right now.
And then coming up behind them is going to be the number 04 of George Kurtz.
James is taken, last guy to pit from the lead.
See what kind of time he...
Be turning it over to Matt Keegan. Should be able to maintain the charge here for the Panos Avezzano Coming up on 60 seconds for Ian James in pit lane in the car. See how tight they can cut it. 64.1. Call that average. Give that a B. What do you think?
Absolutely. I'd say that was a B stop. Absolutely. So right now, with that stop, we should see Mr. El-Gahanian into the lead.
50 car a second, I think. I think he split El-Gahanian and Mirzan. When things shuffles out here, we may see Matt Keegan.
Let's watch for him here. Here comes El-Gahanian up the hill, and now in second. Boy, look at the margin that El-Gahanian has. It is Matt Keegan sits in the second spot. So, who can run down the rookie team that has been running up at the front? Well, we'll find out when we come back to Lime Rock. Now back with you here on the web. Obviously that cleanup took a lot of time. We were thinking, oh boy, as we say that, the Windward Racing entry, the second NOLA car. Was that Kurtz? No, Headland. And he's got damage to the left front.
Gallagher through there.
Boy, and he was exercising some brilliant caution. Gallagher was coming down that hill. As soon as he realized he was okay, he just took off. That's a shame. Headland, obviously one of the guys who has been a factor in the AM championship here this year.
Yeah, very much so. Still hurt his championship charge a little bit. Car's 50% in the race though, so he will score points, which is certainly crucial in the championship season. Can't afford those zero scores.
Absolutely. And after the team had just nailed that stop for him. Ooh, real wide run there by Adam Mirzan. And under attack now by Drew Stavely. We're going to pause. We'll be back with our CBS Sports Show in just a minute. Welcome back. A change as the number 12 and Drew Stavely has moved his way around and picked up second overall, passing passing Ryan. Let me try it again. Passing Adam Mirzan, who took over from Ryan Eversley. And that was the pass for the third spot. So a good move there. In Stavely's lap times, there you see Keegan in the Panos up in front. And Stavely's running some incredibly quick times. And we'll see if he's able to run him down. But one of the big stories right before we had the pit stop window was the strategy and pace of Ryan Eversley. He's now out of the car, and Pilar's found him.
Yes, I am here with Ryan. Ryan, you ran an incredibly fast lap. What was your strategy to get some finesse going in this track?
You know, I got a little bit of pent-up anger from the touring car race, too, the other day, so I kind of let that out, I think, today in the Audi. But, no, the car is really good. The Lizards team really did a good job of getting us set up for this track. It's a unique track. It's very high speed, but it's all right-hand turns except for one. So we basically set it up like a stock car to go the other way, and it's a rocket ship. I mean, we were running away from everybody. If we didn't have that yellow at the start, I think we would have been pretty good. But, again, thanks to K-Sit and Adam Mirzan and obviously Flying Lizard, our car's a rocket. It's flying.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Best of luck out there.
Flying minder.
It's a Flying Lizard.
It is. And, Adam Mirzan right now doing everything he can, although he just had Matt Travis sneak by, and that should be for fifth as they come by at this stage in closing now. He's got George Kurtz behind him, and behind Kurtz, this is part of the big story here, is Alex Welch in the number 14 Global Motorsports Group Audi, and that is the car of one of the absolute front runners in this championship. Yeah,
and this is going to be key. We talked about our championship. Contact there between Kurtz and Mirzan. Walsh has to take evasive action, and tell you what, Pilgrim's going to pick up a ton of ground here. So you see Tony Gaples go through as well.
Boy, that was big. You're right, for Pilgrim and Achenbach.
Alex Welch does a nice job of taking evasive action, but look at this. You can see both the Black Dog Speed Shop Camaros take advantage of this contact here.
Kurt's able to gather it up and get going again. We saw it right after the incident had happened. You would suspect there may have been a touch. We didn't necessarily see anything. Harry Gottsager in the sin, trying to carry some speed through the downhill. There's the number 32. That's the NOLA Sport entry of Jensen. Looks like he may have parked it.
Kurt's just trying to get back into a groove here. Gottsager trying to take advantage. But this is an area of the race that we've seen today. You can run side by side, but you've got to give each other a little bit of racing room. Obviously, there was some contact, cars spinning around, costing them valuable positions today.
And behind Kurtz now is Toby Grahovic in the BMW. That is he's got an awful lot of skills behind the wheel as well. They're a little bit hungry, I think. They ended up at the end of that first race, he and Chris Omock, a lot farther back than they wanted to be.
And they came into the day really well positioned in the championships, and not a great day. Here at John Miller, 14th, and nice run here from the back of the pack for Aurora Strauss, who despite the problems in the opening round, maintains the lead in the AM Class Championship. But it's damage control, getting that car from Classic BMW, and doing a great job with it.
Boy, and Mueller there in the Epic Racing BMW just laid a nice pass on Toby Grahovic in that Chow Racing EFT Global Classic BMW.
Three cars been strong here.
It sure has. Good run in that first race, right up near the sharp end of things for much of it.
Love when you hear the engine note flare as you crest that hill and the tires get light. This racetrack just keeps coming at you. Such high intensity, it's like throwing yourself in a blender and turning it on high speed.
And you get that great audio back there. The view is awesome. Yeah, the view from the climbing turn is priceless. Actually, I know that's not true. There are a few prices out there this weekend. But it is spectacular. Boy, and I'll tell you what, Harry Gottsager has found some speed here.
Running in the 10th position behind Tony Gaples. Big day, though, for Lawson Ascheback and Andy Pilgrim in terms of rebounding from the earlier disappointing performance, getting knocked around in turn one, and now up into the top six. This is what you have to do on a bad day, is regroup. You go into damage control in the points.
So look, there is that Krantz now back behind the wheel of the 21 Mueller car, and he has been spectacularly quick this weekend.
Yeah, very impressive young driver. There's a lot of rounds of the VLN and the Nürburgring.
You know, really, that's when you think about what's going on with the number one Black Dog car. They had that involved in that incident in the first race. And as you said, you regroup, and when you've got drivers of with the experience level of an Andy Pilgrim and certainly Lawson Ascheback, a five-time champion, they understand. There's no sense getting all worked up about it. Just focus, get on with the job, and if you have opportunity in the race and when a couple of cars touch in front of you and spin, you know, you pick up a few more spots, and suddenly they're knocking on the door of a top five.
Yeah, it's a great team, just great chemistry. They've been working together for so long. It was their 25th victory as a team at CTMP. Ray Sorensen leads that group with some great mechanics, and they've been together for a long, long time. And they're calm, cool, and collected. They always think about the big picture, even though Lawson always wants to win every race, of course. That's his mentality, and that's why he's a champion.
Which begs the question, if for the people that were watching at CTMP and they watched Lawson absolutely dominate both of the races, they come here struggling to be in raw pace in the top 15. Why is that? What changes?
Well, I mean, there's some BOP adjustments throughout the field on every weekend, depending on the track configuration and just adjustments in general. And then you come to a racetrack like this. I mean, the Camaro does not have a lot of downforce like some of the other cars in the field. And you get high, long duration corners like you see at CTMP, and we see here for a couple of the spots on the track. The car is good there, but through this real twisty stuff, it's not going to perform like some of the other cars. So it's just the ebb and flow of a championship season. You can't have the top horse for every circuit that you compete on, and it's all about the balance throughout the course of the year.
What about gearing? Does that have anything to
Yeah,
to,
certainly.
to
You can
do
have
with it?
just a particular corner. I mean, it's not like you're changing the individual gear ratios like you do in a true race transmission. And you're kind of stuck sometimes between two gears, and you just can't find the sweet spot. And that could be 2 or 3 tenths. 2 or 3 tenths around here is a number of positions on the grid.
Boy, and this battle for second is heating up. We thought it might be the way Stavely was running, and he's finally run down the number 50 of Keegan. And I've also been keeping an eye on Alex Welch, who is closing in on Ori Fidani, and that is a battle for Pro-Am as well. But here comes Stavely. He's been able to make the move here a couple of times. That car is so nimble, Cal.
Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence in that race car. It's a big day for him points-wise. Coming off a strong race one, another good run here going. He's going to reach into that lead of Aurora Strauss in the championship.
But right now, the lead margin up front overall is huge at this stage for El Gahanian. And watch now as Stavely comes to that margin, 17 seconds. So that number 71 Marco Polo team and El Gahanian just right now kind of a different planet. But this battle is very compelling.
It really is. Just good pit stop execution by the Marco Polo team. Great pace throughout the course of the race. The car is certainly well suited to this racetrack, and Nikolai's done a great job here this weekend. Fastest lap still belongs to Ryan Eversley at a 54.33 compared to El Gahanian's 54.42.
And here's this battle here as Adam Mirzon. Does he have a problem? Just moved well out of the way of this, but got a tremendous battle unfolding here as Welch up on the back now of, or was on the back of Ori Fidani.
Left rear,
yeah,
maybe something's wrong with that contact, possibly with Kurtz. He's
Harry
feeling
Gottsacker,
something.
Yeah, sorry, Harry Gottsacker has slipped in between and got in between Alex Welch in the number 14, one of the leaders in the points in a couple of the categories. And Ori Fidani
in front of these groups. He's doing a great job. He's another driver visiting these tracks for the very first time. The only track he really has knowledge of is his home track at CTMP. Big battle here down the front straightaway, just trying to give each other enough room. Gottsacker to the inside. Welch looking for a little bit of a recovery drive here after that spin. Well, not a spin, but an off-course excursion. Taking evasive action on the spinning cars.
I almost thought that Welch, if he'd have followed Harry Gottsacker, he might have been able to trap Ori out on the outside, but opted to go for the other approach at this stage.
Alex Welch, really great partner for this SprintX Championship with James Safronis. They're good friends. They work together well. Alex really likes to work on the setup of the race car. Big input from him.
Yeah, he's a very, very stout AM driver and a great pairing. If you can get a good pro in the car and then a solid AM driver, and certainly Welch fulfills that.
Kind of the poster team, I think, for this SprintX category.
Yeah, when James, wherever James has it, when Alex gets in the car, he doesn't rarely ever loses much. And that's what it's all about. But when he looks here, Toby Grahovic real loose right there as he was trying to cut underneath Kurtz, the 04 Audi right there, and the 92, the orange BMW. And right behind them is that 36. I'll tell you, for having it be basically a complete unknown, John Miller, started by Aurora Strauss. Those two have done a superb job with an unknown car, and Pilar was a car that they kind of borrowed last minute.
Guys, they've absolutely done an incredible job at really staying in this race. Aurora, what is going to be the strategy for the rest of the race right now?
Well, right now, John Miller and I have brought the car up from dead last in both classes to, I think we're 5th in class right now, and we're approaching 4th pretty quickly. This couldn't be a bigger deal for us. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned in racing, it's you never, never, never give up. And the fact that we're running in the top 5 right now after having some pretty nasty luck this morning is big for us, and it's big for hopefully a championship effort for the rest of the year. So I'm feeling pretty good, all things considered.
What was your perspective from that wreck this morning?
So it was a racing incident at the end of the day. You know, my car and I got crunched pretty good. But the biggest thing from my point of view from those crashes isn't how you crash, it's how you bounce back from it. And I can't thank BMW and the guys at STU Racing enough for helping coordinate my getting this new car and getting me out on track as quickly as possible. There was a lot of last-minute stressful work in the last few hours for all the guys around me right now. Yeah, I owe everything to them. I wouldn't be out there without them right now.
Aurora, thank you so much.
Pretty classy lady, no question, and she's got a quick co-driver in that car right now. And Alex Welch finally getting his nose to the inside of Ori Fidani, and Ori just shutting that door.
No, that was good, hard racing. Or he does not want to give it up. Really impressive drive here. Really feeling his oats right now in terms of competing in this class, finding his feet, finding confidence, putting in a great run.
Hedlund at the back of this queue, it gets a great run through the left-hander, Cal. Tries to get up and alongside the 92 Classic BMW of Grahovic. Just can't quite get it. Finally, Welch slides through, and it almost looked like something slowed down on Fidani's car. He just backed up, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's in the wrong gear or whatever, just caught him by surprise. Hedlund is a lap down on these guys with that pit stop.
Kurtz, Gallagher. Gallagher right now, they had a great run in the first race, but it wasn't a lap that was particularly quick that ended up being their fastest lap, so they were kind of mired in the back.
Yeah, not a great day for the guys who are up in second in points. So we're talking about the championship contenders in trouble. We're mainly talking about the 14 and the 1, but the 55 had a good first race, not such a great second race here today.
Got a whole group of blended drivers here in terms of classes.
Big problem for the 55, looking at their pit lane delta. Minute 29, Greg. They lost 27 seconds in the pit stop exchange, and that's why they're buried in the pack right now.
Hedlund now gets up and underneath, finally, the ETF Global entry of Grahovic, and he slides through, but as you pointed out, he's down a lap. So he's just out there trying for anything, but he wasn't outside, of points contention for the rest of the season. He was at the back of the top 5, but still in it.
Just got to keep digging.
Yep.
You just can't give up, like Aurora Strauss said. The young lady has got it right. You just keep pushing. That's what Mike Hedlund's doing. Look at this, really tight there between Gallagher and Fidani. Fidani's having some great battles out there this afternoon.
And I think Tony Gables was able, he was able to get through. Number 11, the Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro there with the orange and blue highlights on the gray.
Gallagher tries to get the run. Gets to the inside. That was a classy move there by Patrick Gallagher, just really focused on the speed through the uphill. Look at this. Suddenly, there's a problem for El Gahanian. He is dropped like a rock right now. He's got a problem. He's lost the lead to Staveley. Keegan's got by. Problems for the crossbow.
Yeah, running well off the pace. Prant's going to come up and underneath him. Or excuse me, the 47 there of Travis is going to get him as well.
We've seen some teams be a little bit light on fuel, but with the length of this caution, that should not be the factor here today. But it was a quick turnaround between sessions. What is wrong with our guy who was going for the sweep?
See if he makes his way toward pit lane. No, he stays out. He's just well off throttle.
Well, there's only 2 minutes to go. You dive down pit lane, you're just going to basically be sitting there when the checkered flag flies. Just hang on for what you can. But it's given the lead to Staveley and a big points day for Ian James and Matt Keegan.
Well, I did hear some comments from down in pit lane that the team of El Gahanian was surprised to see that one Porsche take fuel. And they said, we're really tight too, so maybe.
Yeah, but with the length of that yellow.
You would have thought,
yeah,
certainly.
They should be well inside that window. I'd have to think of something different to that unless they just miscued and topping him up.
Well, and they got him to the finish comfortably in that first race, and it was pretty much flat out running. So, well, he's just got to last another lap and a half. Here comes Staveley down the hill now with the overall lead. We expect to see the white flag fly. There it is, 1 to go in round 6 of the GTS SprintX Championship. Keegan going with him. Keegan has done a very nice job today, hasn't he?
Really great job. Yeah, Ian James is really high on having Keegan as his teammate for this SprintX competition. Didn't get off to the best of starts at Coda, but certainly has settled in nicely now with the Tom Milner-led Panos team.
And the car third in the queue here is a car that's down a lap. That's Jason Bell. Third place car is actually the 47 of Travis, but way, way back. And Keegan might be making up a little bit of ground. I just don't think he's got enough time, obviously, as they make now the turn up the climbing turn through West Bend. Here we go, Cal, on the downhill. Last apex onto the front straight Drew Stavely, a player in the GTS AM Championship in SprintX competition, comes home with a win. Janetta winning at Lime Rock Park. The Panos sits in second. And at the line, Matt Travis hangs on for third overall, second in the Pro-Am category. Maritz Krantz will be second in the AM category, fourth overall for the Mueller Motorsports team. And what a story. Number one, Andy Pilgrim, from where they were mired, and after the incident in the first race, fifth and third in the overall category. That's not a bad day's work, considering what they had to deal with, huh?
Al Gahaney just dropping like a stone here at the end, just inside the top 10. What a disappointment, but still been a brilliant weekend for him as he finishes ninth.
It has indeed, and as Drew Stavely enjoys his victory lap, we're going to break away for a moment. We'll be right back to hear from our winners. By 6 points. So he should be leading now. And Drew Stavely brings the number 12 Ian Lacey Racing Janetta down into the pit lane. And it's from there, it's a short hop over to Victory Circle. But before that happens, of course, we're going to grab him for a second and hear from him. And there you see the crew showing him the number one. And I think that may mean, yeah, buddy, you won this race. And I think it might also well mean you are number one in points right now.
Yeah, there could be a tie unofficially, at least at 117 with he and Aurora Strauss left to wait and clarify that. A lot of confusion here in these last few laps, but it's going to be tight at the end of the day.
It was an eventful race. That long caution period early on, pushing the pit stop window back by 5 minutes. And reading it beautifully, Ian Lacey Racing and Drew Stavely doing it solo. And he put it together, and there's Pilar.
Yeah, guys, I am here with Drew Stavely, an incredible run up to victory. Drew, what were your feelings when you saw the KTM crossbow start to slow down?
Yeah, I don't even remember. I was just every lap, every corner as fast as I could possibly go. That's always my goal. And whatever car's in front of me, I was going to pass him. And yeah, must have had a mechanical because he was way off the pace. So sorry for him. He's running quick all weekend. But huge thanks to my team, my family, my wife, everyone for getting me here. This is awesome.
Congratulations, Drew. Enjoy your victory.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And boy, what a drive he put on here. There's no question about that. Very impressive stuff. Let's take a look at our overall results. And there you can see it was Stavely with the overall win. Keegan James in the, obviously the Panos, then Travis and Hart in the Porsche, Kranz and Castro in another Porsche, and then Pilgrim and Aschenbach. And I think that is a big, big story here, Cal.
It is third in Pro-Am, fifth on the road, So that's a nice recovery drive for those guys. But Aurora Strauss Miller, they had a nice run there, fifth in class. So damage control in terms of the points chase going to be really tight at the end of the day.
And, of course, Stavely wins overall, but he's an AM category driver, so our Pro-Am winner, second overall. And Pilar is with Matt Keegan and Ian James.
Yeah, and boy, are they happy right now. Lots of laughs, lots of smiles. Matt, what was it like just bringing this home today?
It was awesome. Our team, they just worked super hard to get our car ready and gave us a really, really good car. This team is the best team I've ever driven with, and so much heart goes into this. Want to thank Don Panos for giving us this opportunity to run. We want to dedicate this win to him. And we're just super pumped. It's great to bring that home for the team.
Ian, what was it like starting this race for you guys?
It's pretty good, exciting there. I was battling with Colin Bourne and a couple of the other guys. We were nose to tail. I pushed really hard and, put Matt in a good position, but, he brought it home. No mistakes and consistent. Panos back on the podium and first in class, second overall, where we belong.
Congratulations, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, they did what they needed to do today, and it's nice to see them back in winner's circle with that great win. Got to remind everybody, our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award, which is for most positions advanced during the course of the entire race, goes to the number 11 Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro of Tony Gaples and Michael Cooper, up 15 spots over the course of the entire race. Well, next up on the championship for the GTS drivers will be the next SprintX, or next sprint race, Cal, and that's coming up at Road America from 1.5 miles to 4. Boy, they're going to be stretching their legs.
Yeah, it's totally different, but another classic road circuit, and the next SprintX round is at Portland. So great championship venues that we visit throughout the year.
Well, we sure appreciate you joining us here at Lime Rock Park. For Calvin and Pilar and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer. In association with WC Vision, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
Message from Lime Rock Park Guest Services, Navarez Santos. You have a lost item that has been found, and you can report to Guest Services to pick up that item. Guest Services is usually located at the entrance to the track, the outer portion of the track, so you would need to make your way to Guest Services, and that is out near the White Hollow Road entrance. well, perhaps fortunate that we had a little bit of a break in the schedule. There's been more than a couple of cars that have needed an assist to get back to the paddock area. Also, some kind of cleanup going on in the area of the downhill turn. So, it's time to be put to good use as we work on track cleanup. Hopefully, we'll be able to get our car corral groups out for a couple of parade laps before we roll into the final race of the weekend, which will be the second race of the day for the Pirelli World Challenge GT division. Again, that group scheduled to get the green flag at 4:05 this afternoon. So, just about 30 minutes before our final race of the day. We hope that you have enjoyed your day or your weekend with us here at Lime Rock Park. It has been our honor to have you join us for Memorial Day weekend. We hope that you will come back for the remainder of the events on our schedule this year. June 16th, the Sports Car Club of America divisional races. Our salute to Father's Day weekend, July 20th and 21st, Northeast Grand Prix, featuring the GT divisions at the Minnesota WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, as well as the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge coming to Lime Rock Park, and then Historic Festival 36 will wrap up our 2018 season. That is August 3rd through September 3rd on Labor Day weekend. We have another lost item. You are Yomira Yemi. Yomira Yemi. The lost item that is also available at guest services. Guest services located out at the entrance gate to the facility out off of White Hollow Road. So from the infield, you want to go across the track access bridge to the outer portion of the facility. Yomira Yemi. We have a lost item of yours that can be picked up at guest services. get the tire wall barrier down there realigned, and it has been tested a couple of times. I really want to welcome our car corral groups who are enjoying a parade lap. I'd like to welcome all of the members of the Porsche Club of America. Our local Corvette enthusiasts also getting some parade laps, as well as our salute to the armed forces and their special group getting some parade laps during this interlude as well.
round 5 of the championship, unfolding not yesterday, 3.5 hours ago. The drivers queued up, but at the start, Mike Skeen from the pole, side bump into Daniel Murad, and Murad off.
Two Mercedes coming together, a little argy-bargy there. Morad had to recover, but a penalty was called on Mike Skeen. Drive-through drops him down the order.
Well down the pack. However, moving into the lead, obviously, was the Ferrari from Our Ferry Motorsports, Tony Vielander, opening it up, ducks to the pits. Now watches Hargrove. Big lurid slide following him in, Cal.
Yeah, and importantly, Spencer Pumpelly stays out on the racetrack with hot tires. He got the hammer down. That enabled him to grab the lead.
And then Michael, Then after their stop, Michael Christensen hopped on board, maintained the lead, and went on to score a very impressive and strategic win and valuable points for the guys in second, Vielander and Molina, in terms of the championship. But it's all about the win. Spencer Pumpelly and Michael Christensen enjoying the moment. Something like that.
Okay, fine.
Need to jump in on you there.
That's right.
I thought I got the tap to go.
Oh. Yeah,
Okay, sure.
Siegel. That was for second in Pro-Am.
Second in Pro-Am, yeah.
On Soleil.
So...
Going short track racing on Memorial Day weekend is a national pastime, but rarely is it as scenic or spectacular as the Pirelli World Challenge Championship's annual visit to Connecticut's Lime Rock Park. It's time to strap in for the Grand Prix of Lime Rock.
Where do you intend to drop that? Wide line
Prior to the pits, and then Hargrove and... This weekend is perhaps the greatest weekend of racing on the planet. From Monaco to Indy, and for sports cars, the traditional visit to Connecticut's Lime Rock Park. Welcome to the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Lime Rock, powered by M. It's the 6th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GT SprintX Championship. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. First and foremost, happy Memorial Day, everybody. And Cal, you know, the first two events of the GT SprintX Championship unfolded on long 3+ mile tracks. Now, this Memorial Day, while we're on it, a historically big track, came out in the lead.
That's for sure, Greg.
And held it to the finish.
But
Back in the pack,
comes
particularly in the Pro-Am class,
speed.
a
Lap times
fantastic
here,
battle.
well
You
under
can say
60
whatever you want,
seconds.
no
And adding
added
to
to
the
it.
drama is
Great
this
dicing.
is the SprintX format.
Brilliant move by Jeff
60-minute race
Siegel
with a 10-minute
in the
pit stop
31
window
car
between
ahead.
the 25
Following short track racing on Memorial Day weekend is a national pastime, but rarely is it as scenic or spectacular as the Pirelli World Challenge Championship's annual visit to Connecticut's Lime Rock Park. It's time to strap in for the Grand Prix of Lime Rock. This weekend is perhaps the greatest weekend of racing on the planet. From Monaco to Indy, and for sports cars, the traditional visit to Connecticut's Lime Rock Park. Welcome to the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Lime Rock, powered by M. It's the 6th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GT SprintX Championship. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. First and foremost, happy Memorial Day, everybody. And Cal, you know, the first two events of the GT SprintX Championship unfolded on long 3+ mile tracks. Now, this Memorial Day, while we're on it, a historically big track, it's one of much smaller dimensions.
That's for sure, Greg. Incredibly intense bullring of a racetrack that comes at you at warp speed. Lap times here well under 60 seconds. And adding to the drama is this is the SprintX format. 60-minute race with a 10-minute pit stop window between the 25 and 35-minute timeline. Mandatory driver and 4 tire change for these GT machines. And the time spent in the pits for the start must be at least 62 seconds. We'll be busy on pit lane today, but on track, it's even busier for the driver. And for a great look, let's ride along on our Porsche track preview with Michael Christensen.
This is Michael Christensen, driver of the 24 Porsche 911 GT3R for Allegro Motorsports. One lap here at Lime Rock Park, and here is your Porsche track preview. Coming up to turn 1, braking quite hard, but also keeping the brake quite far into the corner, as turn 1 and 2 is combined more or less. So you try to keep the momentum through and stay tight. Exit of 2 is a bit slippery, how to get on the power. Turn 3 you really want to carry speed in, but also stay tight, and trying to stay tight here in turn 3, being up to turn 4, carrying the momentum through, down the little straight here up to the little chicane, hard braking, but stay tight and early on power up the hill. It's uphill here, so it's important to get early and keep the momentum up all the way up to the next corner here. Quite a fast right-hander. Try to use all the width possible in the corner, carrying the speed down the hill, and then to the last corner also really fast right-hander and trying to keep the speed through. And that was one lap with Michael Christensen for your Porsche track preview.
Well, pole times in the low 51s, it just comes at you at absolute blinding speed. What a ride that was. Thank you, Michael. And, Cal, let's take a look at a race analysis. And as your lead-in to the Porsche track preview, as you said, it's a busy lap for the drivers. Well, the day has been a busy lap for the crews, and they've been up to it.
Well, it's super intense. It's a double-headed day, not just a double-headed weekend, which the teams are used to. So it's just 3.5 hours between turnaround between race 1 and race 2. A lot of work for those teams in the paddock here.
Precious little time to make any big changes to the cars if you had to, and it'll be interesting to see who nailed the combination here when we go racing. And folks, glad to have you with us here on our global web stream. If you're just tuning in for the first time today, welcome and happy Memorial Day. If you've been joining us on and off all day long, as we have had just a day chock-block full of GT racing here at this absolutely stunning venue. We were expecting to see a little bit of sun today. It's never really popped through yet, but the cloud cover, if you will, is at least getting a little thinner. It's a little brighter out there. And as you can see, it has been an absolutely beautiful spring here, color everywhere. And we are looking down the Sam Posey straightaway off to the right. You saw the pagoda, which the legend Sam designed himself. And so much to offer at this track. And one of the nice things is they don't have big grandstands here because you don't need them. You can get right up to the track edge in a lot of spots. And the hillside just to the right of the shot that overlooks the entirety of Big Ben, the left-hander and the right-hander, it's about as nice as it gets.
Such a great natural setting, and the track has done a tremendous job in terms of making the facility so much better for the competitors, with the paddock areas now fully paved, spectator areas perfectly groomed. Great concession stands, great gift shops. They have it all here, but they maintain the historic nature of this race facility. The nostalgia is still here when you drive over the bridge.
And it was all part of that Road to 60 program that they started a few years ago to get them ready for last year, 2017, which was the 60th anniversary of the first race on the track. And it has been just a legendary venue ever since, and one that some drivers look at it one way, others will look at it another way. But I remember once when Butch Leitziger said, when they were talking about a couple of series were going, well, we're not sure about it. Butch said, no, this is where we need to be, because this is the kind of track that separates things, where a driver can make a difference.
They certainly can. It takes total commitment here, but it's high intensity. There's high consequences. Old school racetrack. We've been to one just last week at CTMP. We go to another one later on at the end of June with Road America. But this one, really, when you come through that downhill, you're putting it totally on the line, total commitment, and you have to give each other a little bit of respect and some racing room.
Yeah, absolutely. You just had a nice shot of the pagoda. You can see in that room there Greg Ricks, the track announcer here, who's been with this track for as long as I can remember, and I've been coming here since 1989. So pretty amazing, and he does a great job as well. Well, as always, folks, when you're tuning in for the second race of a weekend, we're building our CBS Sports Network show, so I have to give my little qualifier that on occasion we'll be laying out, having conversations where we'll be quiet to you, but chatting with our producers and the like, and hope you enjoy those moments as well. We'll come back with you on the stream whenever we can, and we're going to take just such a pause right at this moment. And that time is now. So with that, let's get down to the front of the grid for those most important words in racing to set this final race of this Memorial Day weekend Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Lime Rock, powered by M, with Pilar Lastra. Great to have her as part of our broadcast team, and she is stationed right at the front of this beautiful field. Pilar?
Race fans, it is time now for the most famous words in the world of motorsports. To help us out with that command today is Tristan Herbert, Motorsports Manager, Audi of America.
Drivers, start your engines.
And that is one sweet sound always when these engines spring to life. As we are getting ready to go, so many stories to be keeping track of here. Obviously just in terms of the racing itself, but also in terms of points championships and the like. And it's going to be a big one here. And as that field comes to life, let's get to some of those storylines. First one, very good.
Yes, they are. R3 Motorsport number 61, Vilander Molina, the championship leaders coming in, extended that points lead with the runner-up finish here earlier in the day in a front row spot for race 2. Looking good to stretch it with the 96 car, their closest contenders, back in 10th position on the grid.
Second one, Lello, great.
No Mello and Lello. Rafael Marcello, what a debut on Maximum Attack in race 1. Fastest lap and pole for this one.
In that number 2 DeVilbiss machine. And the third one is Spencer Pumped.
He is Spencer Pumpelli going for the three-peat. Won here last year in 2017 with Magnus Racing and Dane Cameron as his teammate. Got the big win earlier in the day. Can he get the third one? third in a row, lines up third on the grid.
Yeah, they orchestrated a great strategy in that first race. Now, the other story is you'll take a look near the sharp end of things. You've got to go back in the grid a little bit to find the Bentleys. And with more on that story, let's get back down to Pilar. All right, thanks very much, Pilar. It'll be interesting to see what they're able to come up with as this sixth round of the championship gets underway in just a few minutes from here at Lime Rock Park. And welcome back, everybody. And I think there was a little bit of an issue there on our second formation lap, and everybody had to sort of resort, but it looks like they've managed to do that.
Not sure if Paulser had to do a reset of the electronics. He definitely come to an almost standstill now. Now the pace car's waited for the field again, or whether he's just playing some gamesmanship. But either way, a little bit of drama here on the formation lap.
So some development here, and watching for that now, that BMW. Normally you would have that M4 CS well clear of the pack right now. I'm wondering if they have made some sort of a change and have decided to put in another lap here as they come down into the front straight. Nope, pace car is making its way in, and the field now. Oh, look at this. The number 2 is heading toward pit lane. He must have had a problem, Cal. So let's see if the green flag flies, or because of that development, if they keep the field out for another lap. It looks like we're going to stay yellow one more time.
Yeah, I think what he did, he came to a standstill, tried to reset the electronics potentially. He has some kind of drama going on, I think, with that development machine.
So the clock should be starting is normally how that would work, and it looks like that is indeed the case. So we basically have started the race with one more lap after caution, but after that absolutely stunning lap he put in that race to set the pole for this one, Cal, I mean, he was some 3/10 clear of everybody, and right in they go. Hood goes up. Bad news for the DeVilbiss CRP Racing entry.
Yeah, this is a big disappointment for this group. Had that type of season, there's highs and lows, lots of victories and podiums, but a little bit of drama along the way as well.
So they're still trying to talk. The engineer probably on the radio to Lello inside the car. His first event with Pirelli World Challenge. Danny Morad, Rafael Marcello, they call it.
Doesn't sound right.
No, it sure doesn't. He's heading back out on track. But I'm not sure how long he'll be staying out here. He was very highly rated. He came in and immediately showed why, but I'm not sure he's got a healthy race car right now, Cal.
Curious to see if they'll do a double file start here, or yes, I get confirmation they're going to do a double file start here. So for Christensen, he can't pull alongside Molina immediately, but it does open up that inside lane. And again, Spencer Pompelli, his teammate, going for the three-peat here this afternoon.
And everybody should be referencing off now of that R Ferry Motorsport Ferrari in the hands of Miguel Molina. Down the hill we go. Christensen's certainly going to be a little bit anxious about it. The rest of the field in tow. Onto the front straight. Although the clock has started, it is just now time to be going green flag racing, and we are underway. And look at the move by Alvaro Parent.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's Soucek there trying to make some moves early.
Yes.
Bleekemolen alongside the other Porsche heading down into turn one.
Absolutely right. Andy Soucek finished last race, so starts this one by rule. Apologize for that. And nonetheless, Miguel
A little
Molina,
bit of debris flying in the air. There's a touch in there somewhere. Side by side there, Jeff Siegel coming off a brilliant performance earlier in the day. Tries to make a move there through the right-hander. Sideways there, struggling for grip.
That is amazing. These guys ran side by side through 4 corners as he headed on to No Name Straight. Now Molina throttles it through, but back in the pack. It is still intense, Cal.
Yeah, Dial and Brazan getting together there as they turned into the uphill. Little touch.
That had Bresson drop off the order just a little bit. That's trapped Martin Fuentes in the Hublot Ferrari. And there is Ryan Dial running in the GT Pro-Am category. But Molina up front leads away from Christensen. And Soucek again, very racy on Jerome Bleekemolen for third.
Yeah, Bleekemolen defending there. This allows Soule to get a little bit of a run on his teammate. Almost some argy-bargy between the two Bentley boys.
Feeding it into the lone left-hander.
Bleekemolen leading in the Pro-Am category right now. The number 3 Bentley will be second in class.
Right behind him is Heckert.
Everyone just trying to find a rhythm here. Tires starting to come up to temperature and pressure.
It's definitely a little bit warmer than it was this morning. That should happen a little bit quicker. But boy, you just have to be careful, not just to get the pressures right, but not to damage the tire.
Yeah, and you're trying to tame a tiger around this racetrack with these high-powered GT3 machines on cold tires, relatively speaking. Brazan in and out of the pit lane, so problems for the Lamborghini.
Yeah, that was a very quick stop by Bresson only. Is everybody now finding that form just a little bit?
Pit stop window between 25 and 35 minutes. Mandatory driver change, mandatory 4 tire change as well.
And not a big surprise to see Rafael Marcello back in the pits in the number 2 De Vilbiss Mercedes. Unfortunate, but it did not sound right when they let it go. And there they are, hood up. And everybody, it looks like it's probably electronic because everybody's just kind of looking and going, I have no idea.
Yeah, Nick Short, they're leading the group, trying to identify what the issue is, but their day is basically blown right now. Try and get out there, get 50% on the board and score some sort of points here. Michael Christensen tries to chase down Molina, but look at this, Soucek, lights flashing, trying to find a way by Bleekemolen. But he's not opening up that lane. Not going all the way to the grass to totally compromise his entry for turn 1, but not giving the alley there for the Bentley to find a way through.
And of course that gives the 2 up front, Molina and Christensen, a lot better free run down into turn 1, and they stretch that margin up a little bit. And it's interesting, it's sort of the chicken and the egg thing with those moves, because, I mean, certainly Bleekemolen is moving at about the same time as Soucek, but is he doing it in reaction or is he doing it proactively? And it looks like they're almost completely in sync.
Well, they're 2 of the best in the business, so they're going to be thinking the same thing at the same time, literally. Bleekemolen seems to get through here, but then the Bentley really has a strong run down this straightaway, picking up a bit of the aero effect, the draft, the hole in the air that gets punched by the car in front. A bit further back this time, Bleekemolen doesn't have to defend as he's got enough of a gap there to take the traditional entry and line through the big bend.
Apex it a little early, floated out, back in, and get lined up for the left-hander.
Christensen looks a little bit closer to Molina. Fastest lap of the race right now is by Wolf Hensler, back in 8th position in the Pfaff Motorsports. Car that really needs to dig deep here today. Had a strong podium run this morning, but not a quick lap. 5th row of the grid was their starting spot.
And it's important to remember, for the Pro class, they get awarded overall finishing points. So even if they've got, say, 3 Pro-Am cars or an Am car in front of them, they don't get to just skip those cars in the points. They get where they finish overall. So racing deep in the pack is as critical as it is anywhere else.
Absolutely, every position counts, even if it's not within your class. You got to somehow get this car up into the top 5. Important for he and Scott Hargrove in this SprintX championship, because the guys they're chasing, they're out front. They're on a big score here today.
Margins between Molina and the Ferrari Christensen and the InSync Allegra Porsche, you can see it, car lengths. It's about a second from Christensen back to Bleekemolen in the Black Swan Boston Athletic Club Porsche. And then it's less than that in terms of the margin for Bleekemolen to Andy Soucek. It's a matter of a couple tenths.
Molina just laid down the fastest lap of the race on this previous lap. And he was 0.02 of a second quicker than Christensen right behind him.
That is incredibly close racing. As you can see, Alessandro Bressan, who ducked into the pits, addressed something. They're going to be coming up on him here.
Molina, another fast lap, 52.57. Wow. This time he's 0.02 of a second quicker. So he's stretching it, Greg, big time.
Yeah, he's just driving away here. Bleekemolen third, Soucek fourth, Soule fifth. Those are the two Bentley drivers, the 9 and the 3, respectively.
Decker doing a nice job there in the 80 machine. Could have been a big day for them, but that little bump really cost them down in turn 1 at the opening race today. Contact, penalty for Mike Skeen, and has really ruined their day. They were in good championship position coming into the day.
And they just couldn't quite get that lap speed that Marcello was finding in the CRP car. There's a look at the number 96. That is Wolf Hensler. He is your Optima Batteries best start winner. Up 2 positions in that opening lap, and we saw him with that wicked quick time. That's how you get that done. We'll be right back to Lime Rock. You here on the web stream. Again, just a short layout while we build our CBS Sports Network show. Oh boy, Molina now just uncorked a 52.4. That's a 4 flat, but Bleekemolen upping the ante at a 52.49. And Soucek now not quite able to maintain that attack on Bleekemolen.
Good lap though, his personal best, 52.52. You can just see how compact this field is here. So this pit stop is going to be super critical. Won't happen for a while, but they stay this tight. I think then they'll have to really sharpen their
exactly.
calculators in terms of how tight they cut it in terms of that 62-second pit lane delta that could gain you a ton of positions.
And that's some pretty intricate math that they have to figure out because, you know, yes, you've got the traverse time of pit lane, but where you sit in pit lane, early on, late on, the stop, the start, the exit, how quick you get away, you've got to have that all somewhat managed, don't you?
Yeah, and something happened earlier in the season. Scott Hargrove brought it up in the drivers' meeting where another car jumped out in front of him and then just went super slow down pit lane to basically get the track position, but then make sure they didn't, you know, undercut the pit lane delta. And he said, how are you going to control that? And the steward basically said, you got to be at 35 miles an hour. If you're not doing that, you will get a penalty. So maybe some of those games that were played earlier in the season will be snuffed out.
And we have seen on occasion the car that's closest to the pit out just getting on the hammer and accelerating out sometimes. We've seen that almost, if not on occasion, getting underneath that time because it just leaps out of the stall. But you don't want to give up much, do you? Because with the field, as you said, packed this close, you have a pit stop that's 8/10 off of somebody else. That's 2 positions.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to try and cut it as fine as you can, and but if you're separated by several seconds between positions, not so intense. But when everyone's compact like this, you know that if you can get it right and someone gets it a little bit wrong, you can jump someone.
All right, we're going to be back with our CBS Sports Network show, so hang tight. Welcome back to Lime Rock. Of course, it is a doubleheader weekend, and today, only 3.5 hours ago, the drivers climbed aboard their rocket ships. And at the start, bit of contact right at the start into turn 1.
All Mercedes front row. Mike Skeen, the pole setter, nudges Daniel Morad off. He got a penalty for that, called on avoidable contact, had to come down pit lane and serve that.
Regained the track, but lost an awful lot of ground, and that meant that Tony Vielander in the Ferrari Ferrari got into the lead and was absolutely flying. But when he went to the pits, watch the Castrol Porsche. Scott Hargrove, big slide. Parent follows him in, but it's Pompelli staying out that was the big moment.
It really was. He had hot tires. He laid down some really quick laps there, and that allowed Michael Christensen to assume the lead.
And behind him, some unbelievable racing that unfolded in the GT Pro-Am category. In particular, fabulous stuff. But at the finish, the number 61 Ferrari boys, even though they didn't get the win, they got valuable points. And for the number 24 Allegra Porsche, a second straight win for Spencer Pompelli. First on the season, though, for the team.
Yeah, they've really made some strides and really finding their groove now, and they're really in the thick for another win here this afternoon. It's all going to come down to that pit stop and the overcut and the undercut in terms of when you pit. You stay out on those hot tires like Spencer did. He did it last year. Dane Cameron did it and turned over to Spencer. And this year, Spencer did it for Michael Christensen.
And nice here to see Raphael Marcelli, back out in the De Vilbius car. And they were seemingly able to figure it out because he's starting to show some speed here. We'll see what happens in the next couple of laps. But here, Miguel Molina has got to the back of Alessandro Brisson in the Dream Racing Lamborghini Huracan, but has not been able to get through.
Yeah, he's not been super tight. Brisson's shown a lot of pace here this weekend. Had an early stop. Not sure what that was for, but some kind of technical issue. I don't think it was a penalty situation for Brisson. We're certainly not aware of it, so that's really ruined his day. But then you see Molina moving around here, just trying to get his attention if the stewards don't make the call to let him through.
Into Big Bennett, you're right. I mean, Brisson is a talent. There's no question. And when they've got that Lamborghini,
He lets him go.
Yep.
Nice move. That's a quality move by a pro. Someone will return the favor one day. Drivers are like elephants. They don't forget.
We'll see. You would think then that he would do the same as soon as Christensen gets pretty close to him here.
Let's put it this way. They don't forget when you kind of hold them up. They may forget a favor, though.
Now we'll see how quick it happens here as Christensen is pretty much there. With Blika Mullen, Suchek and Soule, and the Bentley's next up. You can see Christensen now on the lights saying, hey, you did him a favor, help a brother out here. He moves to the inside.
The problem is you get this aero wash, and Christensen is close enough to that Lamborghini through the high-speed stuff. He's probably losing a little of the front downforce, so Brisson may be thinking, you know what, you're not close enough as he finally lets him through to really warrant moving over for you, but it certainly has an aero effect, and the net gain for Molina is big.
Yeah, we'll have to see next time by. It was well under a second. But this next lap, I think you're absolutely right. Brisson now has let a host of the others go by. Yeah, he's just moving over and letting everybody stream through at this point. That's a class act.
It is, and it's so frustrating because he has a fast race car. He's really been rapid here this weekend, but some kind of issue warranted that pit stop and has dropped him back to a lap down, unfortunately.
Good look there to number 3 of Maxime Soule, the Opticoat Bentley. They've been awfully fast here this weekend, and in the Pro-Am category, they do have the points lead after the 5th round of the championship that unfolded earlier today. Running, obviously, right now. Watch that car feeding throttle. Here's key turn. Carry everything you can through the right-hander. Just a flat-out blast, albeit a short one, and then into this tight right that leads into the climbing S. Maxime Soule can see his teammate in the 9, Suchek, up in front right now. Just not quite able to do anything with it at this point.
Yeah, so everything's settling in here a little bit. Some nice gaps between the cars. So Molina's really doing a great job here in terms of pacing this Ferrari up front. What will the call be when they make that pit stop? Mandatory driver change. Mandatory 4 tire change as well. The gap at the front now is 1.3 seconds. So that little exchange with traffic has certainly been beneficial to our leader, Molina.
And another 1.8 back to Bleekemolen last time by, then Soucek to Soule. Great field of talent. As we said, the depth in this class right now is just remarkable.
Yeah, there's no weak links in these teams these days. You've got to have two studs in your team if you're going to go for this Pro Championship. Marcello just laid down the fastest lap of the race at a 52.1. How frustrating must this be for the Italian to have laid down that fast lap in race 1? And now, with that technical issue, they will not bring home the big points or a potential victory.
So they're out there right now for bragging rights going, yes, he told you we were fast. That's unfortunate.
He certainly made a statement, though, this weekend.
Yeah, he's down a number of laps, so it took him a while to repair it. And for Daniel Murad, who's, of course, the co-driver in this, he's a factor in these championships and is going to lose a lot of points. Now, the key is the reason they got that thing fixed and out is they want to at least get Murad to 50% of the laps that the overall winner has, so he gets those points.
Yeah, and it's based on the laps by the leader. It's not a time deal. It's actually laps. Even though it's a 60-minute time race, that rule is based on laps accumulated by the leader. You've got to meet 50% or more to score points.
And if it's an uneven lap count for the guy that needs the 50%, they do him a little favor. They round down.
Bleekemolen, really nice performance here this weekend. Black Swan Racing really got to grips with this Porsche. Had to switch chassis after the opening round of the championships. Found that the car they bought in the off-season had a slight kink in it and wasn't giving them the performance that they were looking for. So got a new chassis at the last minute for VIR. Got it tuned in and come here in much better shape.
It certainly goes quickly, and there are a few cars that look better than a Black Swan livery.
It's a pretty race car, that is for
Really
sure.
is. Top
Top team, meticulously maintained and prepped. Soucek, Bentley lights blazing. He feels he's got a lot of pace, and as Pilar mentioned at the start of the show, they had an option after getting pushed to the back of the grid after technical infraction. The car was fastest in qualifying with Alvaro Parent. Had an RPM issue, pushed them to the back. They talked about potentially running the first race as just a qualifying session, putting in light fuel load and just going for it to get the pole position. Ultimately decided against that, ended up with a top 5 finish, but didn't get a great lap. Brent had a fast lap before he pitted, but then a lot of guys went quicker when they threw new Pirelli P0s at the car after the pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an intriguing story that was unfolding there as we watched the Bentley. We have seen that number 2, the Vilbus Mercedes AMG out there in the hands of Lello Marcello, throwing down some wickedly quick laps. But Pilar has found the co-driver we were just talking about, Daniel Murad, who's in this championship chase. What's he got to say, Pilar?
Yes, I am here with Daniel Murad, CRP Racing. They were having a lot of trouble with their car. Daniel, what was going on?
Yeah, well, I actually didn't even know because I was just changing on the formation lap trying to get over here for the start. But I was told it's a cooling issue. We had a little bit of contact in race 1 earlier after starting P2. Got the lead into turn 1, and I guess, yeah, just a racing incident happened. And, due to that, we had a little bit of side contact and damage that, may have been deeper than what we were able to see with the short turnaround time between race 1 and 2. So, yeah, I was told it's a cooling issue, and that triggered a fault in the electronic system. So, yeah, tough break. Obviously, I'd like to be preparing to get in the car in the lead after Lello did amazing in race 1, really quick lap, put us on pole. It's just a heartbreak for all the sponsors, De Vilbis, for the team CRP. I know these guys have worked so hard in between the races to, really make a push for the second half of the season, and yeah, it sucks. But, it's racing. At the end of the day, we're performing, and bad luck comes and goes, and hopefully we have good luck later.
Well, we hope to see that turn around for you guys. Thanks so much, Daniel.
Yeah, just during that interview, you can see Lello is driving the wheels off that thing, just throwing it around the track right now.
Still has the fastest lap at a 52.1. He's running 52.3s, which is about a second quicker than the rest of the field. But mind you, he's only got 11 laps on his tires compared to the leaders at 21. So a little bit more freshness left in those probably P0s.
So as we are getting close to the opening of the 10-minute mandatory window, we have, it is the 61 R Ferry Ferrari of Miguel Molina leading over the 24 Allegra Porsche of Michael Christensen, and third in the Pro category, the number 9 Bentley in the hands of Andy Suchek. Third overall, leading in the Pro-Am category, is Bleekemolen in the Black Swan Porsche, followed by Maxime Soulet in the number 3 Bentley, and then you have Jeff Siegel in the 31 Ferrari. The number 61, R Ferry Ferrari of Miguel Molina, continues to lead as we are fast approaching the opening of the pit window as he works his way through the climbing S and the Ferrari of the Ferrari of Ontario, Toronto, and Alberta sponsored machine. And it looks like he's going to have to go around either way here, just a bit too soon. When that clock hits 35, that window opens for 10 minutes. And with these pro guys, it's more a matter of what strategy works the best for you in terms of track position and the like, because they're all pretty quick.
Yeah, and a big read into that is how much have you taken out of your tires? Can you continue to run really fast laps, or have you really just ragged them out? Do we need to get those tires off and get your teammate in, your co-driver in with some fresh rubber and maintain the track position and then hold on a little bit longer?
It's the margin first to second. While we were in break, by the way, as Lello Marcello is continuing to turn very quick laps, he also had a bit of a spin, gathered it up, continued on, but a lot of grass in the radiator, so if that was an overheating issue, I would think we might see him with another stop in the pits. But here we go, down the hill.
First opportunity for the leader to make a pit stop. Let's see what they do. Stay out.
Top two stay out.
Well, I think they would have learned a lot from that pit stop strategy by Spencer Pirelli early in the day by staying out on hot rubber versus guys coming in, and then the cold out laps. It's what they call the overcut, by staying out with good tire performance still in the car and hot rubber. You're going to run faster laps than the out laps. You're going to get that track position. Ultimately, the field will come back at you, but you're in front of them.
Bleekemolen continues to lead Pro-Am, sitting third overall. There he is, just coming into your shot. And the number 96, Wolf Hensler, is in. He will be turning over to Scott Hargrove, first to blink.
Yeah, they have to roll the dice a little bit. They're very much on the back foot here today. They're going to lose a bundle of points. Came into the day 2 behind, and ultimately 4 behind coming into this championship round behind the 61 car, but the 61 car leads. They're buried in the pack. It's a really good team. Pfaff Motorsports making a big impression on this championship in their debut year.
And you can see, you think 45 seconds, oh, that's plenty of time, and that is hustle down there.
You do with one gun.
You bet.
You can't afford any little bobbles there.
Off they go. We're looking at the timing.
Woo! 62.094. 94 thousandths of a second outside of being a penalty. They are cutting it close. They realize they've got to roll the dice here. That was unbelievable.
That may have been the best of the year so far.
That's almost a mistake when you're that good.
It would have been a mistake if you tripped.
Wow, Scott Hargrove. Do you think he's fired up here today?
Oh, I think he is absolutely amped.
This is the key, though. How much performance can he get out of these tires here on these cold tire laps? 9 cars in. It's going to be Alvaro Perent taking over behind the wheel. The fastest man in the qualifying session here on Saturday, but disappointment since then.
Look at that one. 2/10, 62.2, so that's a good stop. And Alvaro's going to be driving angry.
Yep, he's going to be fired up, and the key is for the championship leaders, how close do they cut? I think they have to be a little bit more conservative, but will that cost them a position on the racetrack? Cannot afford as the championship leaders to be underneath that 62-second number. Look at that. Brent's one of the best on cold tires. Always dynamite on the starts and restarts.
Well, that's a good point. If you cut it too shallow and end up underneath 62, it's a drive-through penalty, which is an easy, 17 seconds at least?
17 seconds about.
Yep.
And that's the difference what it takes running down pit lane at 35 miles an hour versus flat out down this pit straightaway, Samposi straightaway.
So, it's a good point. If you are one of the points leaders, you'd rather give up a position on track in a couple of seconds in a stop than 37 seconds, or 17 seconds, and 5 spots. So that's got those guys on the pit boxes scratching their heads a little bit. I think they're just
been keeping the heat on here. He's trying to stay as close as he can to that Ferrari, so the Allegra boys can perform their magic about halfway through this pit stop window here. Who's going to blink first? And it can literally just be one lap, Greg, if the Alferri boys decide not to cut it right down to the wire. Oh, and now there's a change of strategy. The 24 car is in.
You wonder if they've got a set of much fresher, just slightly scuffed tires they're going to throw on.
It's going to be the key.
Yeah, it is.
And then it almost forces the hand here to the domino effect. Once a bunch of the leaders are pitted, you're just running the risk of a yellow and a safety car popping out in front of you. Spencer jumps in. Can he make it the three-peat? 3 in a row for Spencer Pumpelly potentially here today.
All right. Right rear, last tire, I think.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to beat
no.
that Pfaff Motorsport time of 62.09. This doesn't look to be totally...
They have a different pattern on their tire change.
Yeah, let's see if there was a bobble there or not. No, they're waiting still, so I assume they were good on the tire change.
See the engineer with his hand up. He's listening on the radio to the top of the pit box, giving him the count. Boy, this is going to be interesting.
63.02. So about a second they gave up to the 96 car there on the pit stop exchange. See how things shuffle out here.
The 96
well, Perent's
car.
got, Perent's right there, excuse me. So Perent's a lot closer, and he's got tire temp right now. Perent is going to have the hammer down and really put the pressure on Pumpelly. He's on relatively cold Pirelli P0s right now. This is going to be intense. And Perent realizes he's only going to have a few corners to make this move.
Look at how quickly he ran him down, and that's just pure grip, isn't it, right now?
It is. It's just tire temperature. The Pirelli P0s are into their operating range. You load the car pretty quickly around here, but this is going to be the key. Really needs to gap Spencer a little bit here and get the run up the straightaway. Can he do it? Did he get the power down just slightly earlier than Pirelli? Pirelli's going to take that inside lane all the way down to Big Bend.
Ooh.
He opens the door slightly, but not enough. Brent's got to get him right now. He's got to put the pressure on him. Otherwise, Pirelli's going to find the sweet spot in those tires.
And Pirelli had the added benefit of having Ryan Hardwick in the lone GT Cup entry in front of him that he could use as a pick a little bit.
Now he should be in a rhythm. It'll be tougher for Perent now. He's going to get that aero wash on the front of his Bentley as well.
And the number 96, they are well
Little
behind
bobble by Spencer.
Yes.
Didn't get through the uphill well. Can Perent pounce? He's close. This is for podium positions here today, if not a win. The R Ferry boys blink on their pit stop.
Oh!
Spencer using every inch of the road and some more.
Watch for Perent, dives to the
He's
inside.
got to run on him, deep on the brakes, looking at the inside. It is so close there. Two of the best in the business, side by side through Big Bend.
Spencer trying to stay there, and Perent just kind of grazed across the nose, and Spencer had to give it up.
Look at that, they are rubbing. He is pushing him through, he roughs him up.
I don't think...
Brent's not going to like that, he's going to wash him out here.
Side by side still, Cal.
He gives him some racing room. Hats off to Alvaro Prent. He had to be frustrated by that little move by Spencer Pirelli, but he gave him racing room, and now he's got the position. I think Spencer would like a redo on that approach to Big Bend. He gave him just enough room there. Thought he was far enough in front as our leader pits.
See how quick this one unfolds.
Oh, they're slow. They're slow. They gave it a big margin. 65.4. Cold tires. Tony Wieland is going to be attacked right now. Here comes Alvaro Perent. So that little exchange there between Pirelli and Perent, could it be for the victory? This lap by Tony Wieland needs to be one of the best of his life. The Flying Finn needs to get that Ferrari's tires up to temperature immediately.
He is on it, giving everything he can. Careful here into the right-hander. High speed, gets it to turn in smartly.
Super conservative pit stop by the R Ferry Motorsport team. I get it to a certain degree, but that's several seconds they gave him. They put enormous pressure on their driver.
Yeah, a second or two, maybe. Oh, Perent got to run.
He got to run. I'm not sure he's close enough, though. No, he isn't. Wieland doesn't need to protect. I think if Wieland can get through these next few corners without Perent inside him, he may have enough, and the tires will start to generate the temperature, but Alvaro is tenacious. Awesome stuff here. What a battle. There's still cars out in front of them on the racetrack, but they have to make their pit stop yet. This will essentially be for the lead in reality.
All right, looks like Wielander has got things settled. Ooh, a little bit awkward through that chicane. Does that give Perent a... It does, Cal.
It does, and that's where you really ask the tires for a lot when you do that fast change of direction into the uphill. We saw Spencer struggle with it, then we saw Wielander. But is Perent close enough? What can he do with that Bentley? Gets out of the dust.
And not quite close enough this time. And, ooh, look at the glow of the brakes on the front of the Bentley. And he floated a little wide. And that has given Tony Wielander just a little bit of room here as this sixth round of the championship continues. We are out. The pit window is closed. We're going to step away for just a moment. We will be right back. Folks here on the web, as you can see in the background, the Hublot Alpha Prime Ferrari in the pits. Fuentes out, Baccarella should be climbing on board.
Right down to the wire here. Okay. .8 second stop for the Hublot Ferrari.
Well, I think last lap, Hargrove may have taken the fast lap of the race at a 52.092.
Top 5 runners, good recovery for that team, but the problem is the championship leaders are out front.
Tony Vilander in the R. Ferry Ferrari continues to lead and has in fact just stretched his margin slightly over Alvaro Parent in the Opticoat K-Pax Bentley. Christensen third, but maybe the story here, Cal, is Scott Hargrove. Since that pit stop, he has been flying.
Had the fastest lap, which was just taken away by Tony Vilander in the lead with those fresh Pirelli P0s. But this is a great performance by the FAF Motorsports Group. Qualified 10th for this race, and they got that car up to the 4th position. Big points. The problem is the guys they're chasing in the championship are out front right now.
Through the uphill, this is what they call West Bend. Hargrove has some pace right now. Last lap, he and Christensen were actually pretty close. Oh boy, we get a report, Cal, that as you were wondering while we were in break, looks like Cesar Baccarella, they may have missed the window. They'll get a
it was
drive
tight.
through.
Yeah, they were just the wrong side of that 35-minute mark.
That's a shame. It's been an eventful weekend for Fuentes and Baccarella. Early off by Baccarella.
Tell you what, though, these boys are
Yes,
really putting it on the line.
are. Boy, and I'll tell you, Hargrove continues now to close up on Christensen for third.
This Ferrari has come alive here. Strong, strong weekend. Second in round one, extending the points lead. Front row position to start. With the problems for Mugello, that opened the door for Molina to grab that lead and hand over his teammate. Despite being a little bit conservative with that pit lane delta time, they have the lead, and now they're stretching it.
If they did make any adjustments in terms of tire pressures and the like, that R. Ferry crew just absolutely nailed it.
They did. This is an intense battle, though. Hargrove learning these racetracks for the very first time. It's intense when you look at the competition. He's used to winning and dominating championships, and he started off in that vein with this championship this season, but right now he's realizing just how tough this championship title will be.
It's interesting sort of story the way things are going for R. Ferry this season. In the sprint races, they're quick, but they haven't necessarily been accruing the points. But in the SprintX races, they have been absolutely superb. And I think part of it is just the way that Vilander and Molina feed off each other in terms of not just speed and motivation, but data share. They're two absolute pros.
Yeah, and it's the first time they've co-driven together. Was at the opening rounds of the SprintX competition. They went out and swept. Tony said, yeah, I like this kid.
Well, as we're watching Vilander hustle that up and through the climbing S's, sitting in second spot, Alvaro Parent has been absolutely on form. Tough start to the season, but boy, have they been putting it together lately. And Pilar, a lot of that is down to that K-Pax crew.
Yes, and they're doing an amazing job working their way up in this race. I'm here with Darren Law of K-Pax Racing. Darren, just watching Alvaro out there, he's such a passionate driver. How is it working with him, and how do you see this battle turning out for him?
Well, you know what? First off, I got to say a great job done by Andy Suchek, who started the first stint and kept us in the hunt. And, you know, honestly, Alvaro is one of the best GT drivers in the world, and that's why we hired him. You know, he's very passionate, very aggressive, and a very good driver. Our issue right now is we just got to make sure we maintain grip with the tires and not burn them off too early. So he's probably backed it down a bit, but he'll give it another go at the end.
Thanks so much, Darren.
And one thing we have come to learn, and something that we wanted to share with you about Alvaro Parent, amongst all his talents and all his gifts, perhaps the most noticeable is his tenacity.
Great, oh, and he gets hit! A huge hit for Alvaro Parent. I don't think Ski knew he was there, and Parent is out with major damage.
Unfortunately, it's been a very difficult start to the season. Virginia, we had a tough weekend, and we didn't even get to race on race 2. car was working really well. Probably we were going to get 2 great results, a lot of points in hand, and to have a weekend like that is very, very hard. How much I appreciate the work that the guys have been doing on rebuilding the cars. It hasn't really been easy at all. I'm going to approach all the weekends like I've done all my career, with strong will, looking forward to doing well, you know, and working the same way that I've been all my career. And, you know, I've got this great team to back me up.
And as Darren said, he's one of the best GT pilots in the world, and he has shown it here in these last few races once again.
He has, and he's with one of the best GT teams in the world as well.
Yeah.
So many victories here at Lime Rock over the years. It's rare that they get beaten here. It's easier to talk about the years they didn't win than the years that they did. So I think they're going to struggle here today without a yellow and a reset, because Donny Vilander looks pretty handy up front.
And of course, in that feature, it talked about that incident in VIR. He had a big one in the season opener at St. Pete, and both he and that team, along with, and you have to say it, some tremendous support from Bentley Motorsports, they figured out a way to get cars into that K-Pac shop so that Alvaro could keep racing.
Yeah, 3rd different chassis on the year for the number 9. Had to transport this one from Malaysia, 14,000 kilometer flight. Took it into Atlanta. The team had finished off the VIR weekend, left their transporters there. Transported the car up to there from Atlanta and got it ready for CTMP, and immediately on the pace and had a brilliant victory there last weekend.
And he's got that solidly in second, although Vilander has been able to stabilize that lead at about 2.5, but Hargrove is ever closer to Pumpelly. The margins, not by a lot, a 10th here and a 10th there, but he is closing.
He is, and I'm sure he'd be wishing that Porsche Motorsports would make the call to Allegra and let him have the position, because the 24 car is certainly making a rebound in this championship, but the 96 car is the closest competitor and contender to that championship lead on the 61. But no one's going to give anything away this early in the season.
There's a look at the number 3 K-Pax Racing Opticode Bentley in the hands of Rodrigo Baptista, as he sits 5th overall, leading in the Pro-Am category right now. And they've had some exceptional speed this year as well, including at VIR, Cal, an overall win in the 3rd round of the championship for the SprintX.
Yeah, really strong driver lineup with he and Soulé. I think they've really found some good chemistry, great speed, of course, and what they have to do is carry a little bit more weight with the overall win. There was a lot of conjecture about whether Baptista would be moved up from his ranking to Am to Pro. They decided to keep him Am, but he has to run 1.5% more weight than anybody. So if you see the two Bentleys close together, these guys are doing a better job because they're carrying more weight on board.
And look at that move again as Hargrove attacking on the uphill. But right now, let's get back down to pit lane to a very busy Pilar Lastra.
Guys, we're here with Steve from BAF. Steve, you guys have worked your way from 10th to 4th. What is the strategy now to get on the podium?
I just keep pressing. Scott's had a heck of a stint. He started in the car, got in the car, we were 10th. So he turned some really fast laps when he got in. And yeah, we're just going to have to stay clean. Make sure we make clean passes, obviously, to get on the podium. But it's in the big picture, we got to get there. Find a way to keep as close to the 61 as possible, who's currently leading. So.
Thanks so much, Steve.
That pit stop they did. Steve and the boys did their job. What an execution of timing that one out.
And it didn't take long for Hargrove to throw down a fairly quick lap. Certainly, just noticed here the front end of that car giving up just a little bit, as you would expect when you're running in traffic like that. But he will do everything he can to stay with it. And we hope you stay with us throughout the year and follow all the news that's happening in the Pirelli World Challenge. And you can start by downloading our new fan app. Go to the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and search for the PWC fan app and start getting in deep. You can also follow along on many other social media platforms. On Facebook, just search for PWC Championship. On Twitter, just search for @WC Racing. On Instagram, you have two opportunities, hashtag Pirelli WC or hashtag Pirelli World Challenge. And for all things Pirelli World Challenge, go online to the series website, world-challenge.com.
Beautiful drift there by Scott Hargrove. He certainly found the sweet spot in terms of the rhythm of this racetrack right now, Greg. Just really flowing nicely, maximizing every ounce of performance and grip that car will give him. Talented young man.
He really is. Made the move to sports cars after, Brent really running wide there at the bottom of the downhill turn, but Hargrove obviously started and did a lot of successful racing in open wheel and made the transition to sports cars very adeptly.
Yeah, Formula 4 2000 champion, had some Indy Lights outings, and then made the move to GT racing. Has found a great home with a fellow Canadian group. For the biggest Porsche dealership in the world, in North America, excuse me, biggest McLaren dealership in the world.
It's remarkable, and the interesting thing to me is the current team that is this FAF team, pretty much all been together since 2011, and 80% of them are FAF auto dealership employees. It's a passion with this group.
It really is. Good core group, and you need that chemistry, and that comes with working together for years.
This is going to be interesting, as Vilander is going to be coming up on the back of a little battle. They're laps apart, but Baccarella having a good go right now with Yuki Hirata, Am-Am and Pro-Am.
The nice thing for Tony Vilander, he stretched that gap over Perrent up to 3.6 seconds, so it allows him to be a little bit patient if he needs to be to clear this traffic. Ferrari's really been running some hot laps. Really found the sweet spot. I think you're spot on, Greg. They might have done a slight tire pressure adjustment and given Tony an even sharper tool for the second half of this race than his teammate had at the beginning.
He's going to look to the inside here.
Be careful there. That's not a good spot.
You wanna get through, but that guy's got to turn at some point or he's going to crash. It's just that simple in that part of the track. Now down to the inside. He's going to get one of them, and a nice job there by Cesar to open it up. And that was very gentlemanly by Cesar, because he knew that Yuki might just try and stuff it down the inside.
Which he did.
And then they got a little bit of a
position
dub going. Yes.
So allowing the Ferrari through, which he probably got word on the radio. The Ferrari is leading, and he's coming up behind you.
Yep.
Don't step in his way. By doing that, he allowed Yuki to take advantage of the situation.
And when you two are driving a Ferrari, you try and help out your fellow prancing horse.
Absolutely. Brent seems like he's found the groove again. Darren said they were a bit concerned about taking too much out of the tires, and at one point it looked like the two Porsches were catching him. We're going to put him under pressure, but that gap has now been stabilized once again.
I have noticed the last couple of laps, though, Brent has been throwing up ever bigger clouds of dust at certain points around the track.
Stewards will be on top of that.
They don't.
Brian Till does not like, the racetrack does not like seeing that happen. He's very into track limits, and not just stepping over the line in terms of a penalty, but if you're continually doing that, he will warn the drivers, don't keep throwing dust in everyone's face. He realizes that's just going to dirty their tires up a little bit, and they're going to have to be on their toes in terms of the grip level in the next corner.
Nice job there by Cesar as he opened up and let those two Porsches come through. Perrent now trying to get by Yuki. Does.
It was tight though. I'm not sure Yuki knew he was going to dive to the inside there.
Yeah.
Big commitment there by Alvaro. Probably cost him a few tenths over the previous lap. 3-second lead.
Here comes Spencer now. Trying to get into, Yuki sees him.
Cost Perrent 0.3 of a second there over Spencer Pumpelly though.
Oh, and Yuki just couldn't leave the door open to let Hargrove through. Now he opens it up.
It's hard to hit the disappear button.
It truly is. This isn't the widest of tracks, and it's very serpentine in that section. And he did what he's been instructed to do, being a fairly new racer to the sport, is be predictable. You drive the line if you need to. We'll figure a way through.
It's tough, though, when you keep grinding, trying to take hundreds and tenths of a second out of a gap, and suddenly you hit traffic and lose a second or something. That is super frustrating. You just got to regroup, refocus, and hope that that comes back to you with someone else having a similar issue.
Take a look at the margins here now. Vilander still holds fast lap of the race, just turned to 52.85. And that margin, 3.7 seconds back to Perrent. Only a second and a half, though, from Perrent to Pumpelly, and well under a second, Pumpelly to Hargrove. Baptista continues to lead in the Pro-Am category in the number 3 Bentley. He's got Mike Skeen right now between himself and Parker Chase. And it's a fair amount of time as well. So Baptista is looking to be in fairly comfortable territory right now. Again, you say that, every finger crossed, digit toes crossed. If you're part of that team, and again, Perrent, little bit of dust.
Seems a great racing here today. That battle between Pumpelly and Perrent was immense there for that runner-up position right now.
Hargrove floats it in a little high.
Yeah, he's done that a couple of times. Seems to make it work, though.
Yeah.
This kind of sets up like a single apex corner versus a double apex in Big Bend. Never stop learning. Might be first time here, but there's different ways to skin a cat.
Though we talked earlier about the nuance. Ooh. Ran a little bit wide through that hard right into the climbing S, and as a result, just clobbered that curve a little bit, Cal. I was going to say, this track has a lot of nuance, especially when you run that climbing S.
Yeah, it really does. You see the Bentley can really eat the curb there through that climbing section. And I think that's really gained them a lot of time here this weekend with the compliancy over the bumps and the curbing.
Seems to me that in that categorization, the compliance, the ability to absorb bumps when you need it to and still have some good platform, the Bentley and the Mercedes just really seem to soak those up.
Yeah, and that's so important to be able to do that at certain circuits. Key corners, you think about St. Petersburg, that back chicane, couple of corners from the end of the lap, really important if you can eat a bit more of the curbing there in straight liner. You can't make them so good because the stewards won't let you use it.
Exactly. There's a limit to what they will allow.
Look at there, Baptista using every inch of the road, trimming the grass on the edge of turn-in for West Bend. He's a brave boy.
He is, and to me it's a little interesting because he's got, 22 seconds back to Chase. Skeen is closer, but in terms of class position, he's got a pretty healthy margin with not a lot of time left on the clock. We're going to pause. We'll be right back with our CBS Sports Show. Lights flashing. Tony Vilander working his way through some of the traffic here. The Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Lime Rock Park, powered by M. And as that R Ferry Ferrari drops down through the downhill turn, coming up on the back of the 54 of Tim Pappas. He wants to get through. He has controlled this race for quite some time now, Cal, after the mandatory pit stop. Once things stabilized, he's pulled it out, and it's been at anywhere from 3 to 4 seconds, and right now at 3.3.
Yeah, he came under attack there with the conservative pit stop delta time by the group. I understand that with the championship lead, you didn't want to cut it too fine, but they left a bit of time on the table, and that put pressure on Vilander. But once this Ferrari got its tires up to temperature, he's just taken off.
And we were speculating that maybe they made a little adjustment on the tire pressures during the stop. Whatever it was, it worked, Pilar, and they are in good shape here late in the race.
They really are, guys. I'm here with Rico with R Ferry, and it has been a great race for them. A lot of anticipation. Rico, we saw Vilander so excited, just anxious to get back in the car. He was on the other side of the wall well before you guys were ready to pit. What's it going to take for him to maintain the lead right now?
He's just got to stay cool. He was just ready to do his job. He was dressed well before the pit window. He was eager, jumping around, warming up. In the end, that's his job. He's very good at it, and all he's got to do now is just stay cool and calm for another 5 minutes.
Thanks so much, Rico.
He is more than capable of doing that.
Yeah, just got to hit his marks. He's got the rhythm, the car's performing. But in racing, anything can happen. And there are guys close enough to him. Any bobble, that 3 seconds will be eaten up in a heartbeat.
Perrent now is coming up onto the back of Pappas. And I think, right now, you have to be some sort of an issue for Vilander. And Perrent needs to get by Pappas cleanly, and he does exactly that.
Yeah, 3.6 seconds is still the gap to the front there. So Perrent dealt with the traffic equally well. Pumpelly and Hargrove keeping the pressure on. Just Great performance by Scott Hargrove on his first visit to Lime Rock Park. The young man has immense ability, great drive and determination. He's going to fight hard for this championship, but he's going to realize it's going to be tough.
Great looking car, and it has been right at the sharp end of things ever since they decided to join this championship full time this year.
Come from 10th on the grid up to top 4 run here, Greg. It's a great achievement. His teammate Wolf Hensler seems to fit in really well with this group. He brings that little bit of experience that the group may be lacking in their early days, but it's not going to take them long to learn the ropes.
Down the front straight we go, and for Parent, I think he's kind of accepted the Vilander scenario in that he's going to need help, but he didn't want to get held up anywhere and suddenly have Pumpelly and Hargrove closer still. Nice job there, Hargrove being able to get through on Pappas before they got to turn 1.
Hargrove seems to like that wider line there, but I'm looking at the first sector times, and he seems to drop a little bit to Pumpelly up front, so I'm not sure it's really working for him or whether his car just won't get dialed in and turn in. Oh, that was close, it looked like.
Yes, it was.
It's like Hardwick tried to adjust his speed and caught Pumpelly unawares, and Hargrove's a lot closer to him. Well, that's a scare there for Pumpelly.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is intense for the podium spot.
That's what I was going to ask. A couple of times I've seen the 96, the front end just give up just a little bit. And I wonder if he's got just some handling characteristic of the car where he thinks it works better with that wide end.
Well, if you do have a bit of understeer or push in the car, and if you try and ask for a bit more on the turn into the corners, you're just going to kind of grind those front tires away. It's almost like a pencil eraser. You're kind of scraping on them and chewing the tires up.
It was a lot tighter to the apex that time, following Pumpelly's line through very closely.
Look at that drift. That is beautiful. Great to see someone on top of their machine like that, bringing every ounce out of it.
That he is.
Tell you what, you put Spencer Pumpelly in a competitive car, boy oh boy, does he always perform.
He does.
Regular race winner.
That he does, absolutely. We've seen him do it in other championships. We've seen him do it in GTS one-offs and come through. Learns very quickly if it's something that's relatively new to him. Look at Hargrove. Yep, and why not? At least try here. Maybe 2 laps to go, Cal? This and one more?
Yeah, certainly looks that way.
Yep.
Should get the white flag next time by for our leader, Tony Vilander.
Here comes your Pro-Am leader, Rodrigo Baptista. After Maxime Soulet started, Baptista has taken over the controls and has done just another superb job.
Parker Chase in second position, was second in the points coming into this round, tied actually with a 31 of Wei Lu and Jeff Siegel.
All right, here we go. White flag flies. One more to go for Tony Vilander in the R Ferry Ferrari, started by Miguel Molina. Tony into Big Bend, final time.
Says he wasn't happy after qualifying with that run, what was initially fourth, and got promoted to third with the DQ for the Parent machine. Boy, oh boy, if they executed come race day.
Absolutely. Heading now, last time, the tight right into the climbing S. Flicking it through those 2 curbs, up over the rise and into West Bend. Giving himself a lot of room there now, huh?
He's not taking any risks here. Sees the dust flying up ahead of him.
Way shallow on the track out and to the wall. And Tony Vilander, Miguel Molina, and R Ferry and Ferrari win at Lime Rock and continue what has been a superb SprintX part of the season in particular, Cal.
Yeah, just amazing. Their third win together and extend their championship lead by a bundle here today.
And again, Molina just did a superb job in his first stint leading up to the stop. Parent second. Pumpelly did hang on over Hargrove for third. And with Rodrigo Baptista bringing it home over Parker Chase and Wei Lu in the Pro-Am category. We'll come back and hear from our winners.
fun today.
Having some fun. I think he did. As has happened a number of times over the 60-plus year history of this beautiful racing facility, Ferrari is back in victory circle here at Lime Rock Park. And Tony Vielander, who did the finishing stint here in this second of the doubleheaders for the SprintX Championship in GT, steps out. Congratulations immediately from young co-driver Miguel Molina. Very well earned indeed. Lots of congratulations down there. Of course, Tony's going to peel off that helmet and Hans device, and it'll be fun to hear. I mean, once he got those tires pressured up and temped up, he was gone. He absolutely controlled this one to absolute perfection. And let's get it down to Pilar.
Guys, we are here with the winners, Tony Vielander, Miguel Molina. Congratulations on a great race. The whole team is excited. Tony, we saw the anticipation for you just trying to get in the car already. What was going through your mind to be able to maintain the lead that you did?
Yeah, I mean, this type of racing is quite emotional. I mean, you need to give 100% all the time. We have some strong parts in our race car, and we are a little bit weaker, especially in the beginning of the stint. So I really needed to force myself. I think it was Alvaro just behind me, and there were some parts of the track that I just didn't have the confidence, and then I just said, now I need to go. It's now or never, and we were leading the race one. We lost it in the end, and this thing I didn't want to slip away.
I mean, you almost made it look easy. Great job out there. Miguel, everybody's watching back home. This was a big race for you guys. How was it for you to just set it up for your teammate?
Yeah, it was a good race for us. We knew that we could make it. We did some changes from the first race to the second one, and at the end it worked out. So thanks for all the team and also in Italy. So we are really happy because we extend a bit the championship lead. So that's really important.
Congratulations, guys. Great job today.
Yeah, that is a very important point. You saw Tony, one of the first hugs he gave was to a gal named Rosella, who is an absolute technical guru and handles all the Ferraris in the Pirelli World Challenge Championship on some levels. And, boy, did they hit it today. Here's a look at the overall results at this stage. And as you can see, top four, as we called them, all pro cars. And then Rodrigo Baptista and Maxime Soulet, fifth overall, bringing home the win in the Pro-Am category with Chase and Dial there, 2 spots back in the overall, but second in Pro-Am, and then Wei Lu and Jeff Siegel third in the category. And, again, they produced some great racing. They weren't quite in the wars like they were in that first race of the day here, but still in all, just a superb performance. As we talked about, Baptista and Soulet get another win in the Pro-Am category. Let's get back down to Pilar.
Yes, it was quite an emotional day for this team, but at the end of the day, you guys overcame adversity. And Rodrigo, tell me, how did you guys finish this race so strong?
It was a good race, but for me it was quite easy. I was alone on the track. Max did the job, so Max and the team for sure. And I just bring the car home.
Maxime, when your teammate gives you all the credit like that, tell me how you were able to get the car so well up for him.
No, I think I just took a good start. You know, I just we try to. It's not easy when you start next to your teammate on the same row. So we took it a bit careful, but it all worked well. No touch, so that's good. And I just followed, and I know we were leading Pro-Am, and that's what we wanted to get a lead. And yeah, and then he brought it home, and he did a mega job.
Great teamwork, guys! Congratulations.
Yeah, that was absolutely superb run for that Opticoat K-Pax Bentley team. Let's take a look now. This is now the breakout for Pro-Am. And, again, a great day for those two and a big margin. That's bigger than we've seen, certainly, so they really had things dialed.
Yeah, Bentley was strong here this weekend. Unfortunately, got that DQ after qualifying. Otherwise, it could have been an even better weekend for them. But you certainly saw Perrin perform magnificently in the Pro ranks, and Baptista Soule, they're a strong combination, and they have a healthy championship lead right now.
Yeah, that they do. And, of course, now we want to give a quick heads up to our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award winner, and that was Scott Hargrove from the 10th spot on the grid up into 4th. So they bring home the VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award winner as well as a good 4th-place finish. As we wrap things up here at Lime Rock, Cal, we have to look ahead. The next round of the Pirelli World Challenge Championship is going to be back to the sprint format in the last weekend in June at Road America.
Yeah, well, you certainly have a chance to breathe a little bit more there on that 4-mile circuit versus this bull ring of a racetrack. Equally intense, though, puts different demands on the racetrack, on the race car. And I think the Bentleys have really found their sweet spot in the season. Struggled early. Now we're seeing them perform, but certainly the Ferrari looks good. Hargrove keeps hanging in there with the FAF Motorsport team. A lot to work out here as the championship continues.
A lot to lick your chops for to continue to stay with us and watch Pirelli World Challenge action as it unfolds throughout the course of the season. Next time out, end of June at Road America. That wraps things up for us here at beautiful Lime Rock Park. For Calvin Pillar and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer. In association with WC Vision, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.